Alright guys, we are taking a look at Incredible Hulk by Peter David, Omnibus Volume 2. And this is a hefty, big omnibus at a little over 1,000 pages. And this contains some really cool stuff. So in it is going to have Incredible Hulk, 369 to 400, so that's a pretty nice standard amount of issues. But we also have the annual 16, 17, and 18, X Factor 76, because there is a crossover event happening here, and materials from Marvel Holiday Special 2, which is adorable, and I will talk a little bit about that soon. And if you haven't seen my review of the first omnibus, basically my overall thoughts were it was really entertaining. I think some of the one-shots were excellent. I think there was some growing pains to be happening with that series as Peter David took over from another writer. But once he got into the groove of it, it got pretty interesting, though I did think that the Gray Hulk, Mr. Fix-It, was really just kind of overstaying his welcome. So I was ready to read Volume 2 and see if he would go off the pages for a while. And luckily, that's mostly what we got. So Peter David continues his run with Hulk in the second volume, getting deeper into Banner's troubled past while letting the Green Hulk show himself once more. And so, if I'm going to be honest, the start of this volume feels a little bit iffy, but soon into it we get to the real meat of the story. So before we talk about that, the reason I feel that the beginning is a little iffy is that we have just kind of these weird one-shots that don't really amount to anything and don't have the serious situations that I like the Hulk or Banner being in. And then we also have some crossovers with X Factor and them hunting him that overall just weren't as entertaining as I hoped for. I wouldn't say they're like horrible, but they're just not super entertaining, and that kind of takes away from it, in my opinion. And some of the stuff with the Betty stuff took a little while to get into, but luckily once we do, then we start getting to some good stuff. And my favorite arc in the entire series, and there's a lot of good to talk about here, is I love the arc where Banner is trying to connect with Joe Fix and the Green Monster and also have some type of control for himself after all these years of basically being used by either a mindless hulking creature or someone that's kind of just a dick with super strength. But to do that, he also has to visit his past and his mind, find out what happened with his father and mother, and he kind of just has to deal with all those emotions. And let me be honest, this is a great arc and really amplifies the mentality that Banner has to go through and why the Hulks were even created. So all of this arc was absolutely fantastic and some of my favorite stuff I've ever read with Hulk in it. So soon after that arc, we get the Professor Hulk. So this is Hulk with Banner in full control, basically the strength of the Green Monster version, but the smarts of Banner, leaving with a very interesting new version of the Hulk. He's kind of like the MCU one that we get in Endgame onward, but a little bit more aggressive at times, even though I do think he does have some really cool aggressive moments in the movie that are more subtle than just right out roar. And so I really liked him here, though. He reminded me a lot of that, or MCU version reminded me a lot of this. But soon the Hulk joins these group of do-gooders, secretly do-gooders, I guess you can call them, the Pantheon, and they're not so good. It's kind of just really shown right away that these guys are up to no good, or at least the leader is. But these guys are supposedly supposed to take out the threats before they become an actual threat. It just kind of reminds me of S.H.I.E.L.D., but not quite as interesting. And some of the designs of these guys is just absolutely terrible, but it's kind of cool to see Hulk on a team, but still being like, yeah, I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm more awesome than all of you idiots. And there are some really good stories involving them in it, but I just felt like them themselves not as interesting as I hoped for. But there was a lot of fun to be had here. I think I even enjoyed it more than the first one. I think Bruce's evolution to Professor Hulk was great, and the stuff with him as Professor Hulk was pretty stellar. I also thought that Betty got a real nice upgrade here with some great character moments, and I also love to see that we get other supporting cast that really get to shine here as well. Besides Betty being a standout for the supporting cast, Rick Jones gets a lot of character development. I feel like he's a fan favorite and also a favorite of Peter David's because he also writes him later on in other series, but he really works well here, and his growth is also something special that I was actually a little bit surprised with. So overall, I think that Peter David just has a lot of fun with this volume, and the art stays strong throughout, which is a nice upgrade from the art kind of changing from great to in the last volume for me. even when it changes hands here or there, it still works really well for the art, and some of these fights are really epic in my opinion. So this series is continuing to impress me. I think this volume is a step up from the last volume. I don't think it's phenomenal, and I'm hoping that there are moments in the next few volumes that I get that, but I do think this is a great omnibus. The other was in between good and great. This is actually great for me. So I'm going to give this volume a 4 out of 5 for The Incredible Hulk Volume 2 by Peter David. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I love making these type of videos. If you do like it, hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. And I have a question for you guys, because we're talking about Hulk here. What is your favorite run for the Hulk? Is it Peter David's run? Is it E-Wings? Or is it someone else? I would love to see your opinion. List them below. And thank you, and have a wonderful day. One day I'm going to have a really cool out slogan, but not today.